Cheers. Welcome everybody to today's live stream. If you are tuning in, my name is Keith Kraker. I'm a registered dietitian and I'm one of the co-founders here at Carbon Diet Coach. And today I'm going to hop on here, answer your guys' questions about the app, about nutrition, about training, whatever questions you guys have. Be sure to, if you're on Instagram, put them in the question box thing. And then I can pull them up on the screen for everybody else. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, just put them in the comments and then I will pull that up on the screen there so everybody can see the context of what I'm answering. We'll get a few more people in here and then we'll start answering some of your questions. So let's see what we got here. No questions just yet. Oh, okay. There's one in the comments here. Can you explain the trend weight feature, please? Yes. So trend weight is a feature that solves weight fluctuations. If you've ever weighed yourself regularly or dieted, you know that your weight can jump around quite a bit. And sometimes, even if you're going by your weekly average weight, things can still get thrown off. So with trend weight, our goal was to predict what your true weight is at any given point in time. So it will predict what your weight would be without any of the outside factors that are affecting your weight. And it does that by some fancy statistics and stuff that we use in the algorithm. And so trend weight will help smooth out those fluctuations and it will help predict what your true weight is at that point in time. And that's very important for the coaching feature of Carbon, because if we have a accurate representation of what your true weight is, we can be way more accurate with the adjustments that we make with the coach. And so it's experimental still, because we're working out a few things with it yet. But if you haven't given it a try, I recommend giving it a try, because I've been using it for a while now, but we find a lot of people really enjoy the new trend weight feature because it helps kind of disconnect this individual scale weights on each day. So you don't have to worry about what your scale weight is. You can just look at what your trend weight is each day, and the coach will also look at the trend weight. So if you want to enable that, you can go to settings and then experimental features and turn that on. And if you do, we recommend you, or if you do, we would really appreciate it if you would leave feedback for us through the app. You can do that. There's a place to submit feedback on the experimental features screen. So we would appreciate it. We're trying to work out the kinks in it before we release it to everybody, but you can try it right now if you would like. How long can you check in? Non-compliant. It's been weeks since I've been compliant. So you can keep checking in every single week and marking non-compliant. But if you do that, the coach isn't going to make adjustments. And the reason for that is priority number one of yours is to figure out how to be compliant. And if you need help coming up with strategies and such to do that, and you're really struggling to hit compliance, I recommend reaching out to our support. They're super helpful and can give you some personalized recommendations for being compliant. But that really is priority number one. First, you need to eat what the coach is recommending. And then once you do that, then the coach will be able to adjust by seeing how is your body responding to the target macros that you have, and then make the appropriate adjustments. So yeah, you can check in as many times as you want, non-compliant, but the coach will not adjust. Okay, well, what's up, Gavin? Will there be any other way to assess fat loss on the app, as scale weight sometimes doesn't tell the whole story, i.e. fat loss? Thank you. So it currently is factored in right now. So if you are on a weight loss goal, for example, and you lose a significant amount of body fat and you don't lose weight, for example, the coach will see that and not drop your calories further because it appears you're making progress in losing body fat. So the coach already does check to see, is your body fat changing way before it determines if an adjustment is needed. Now, the threshold for that is kind of large, I would say. So a lot of people may not get that check in the algorithm, but it is there. We may need to do some fine tuning of how we do that, but we do take into account body fat changes, and those trump scale weight changes on all settings, for example. So we do, but I would say there's always room for improvement, and we're always looking for ways to improve that to ultimately give you the best outcome possible towards whatever goal that you have. Thank you for the question. Is there a good way to weigh cooked meat and get the raw weight macros? Could this feature be added? So weigh cooked meat and get the raw macros. So in the diary, you can search for cooked options, but if you are weighing it cooked, it's going to be less accurate because each cooking method that you use dehydrates the food a different amount. And so it's hard to, across the board, say, this is what the cooked weight is, and that translates into what the raw weight is. If you want to be as accurate as possible, you should do it raw or how the food is packaged, because that's how the nutrition label is done. But there are food items in the database that you can find that are cooked. Just keep in mind, like I said, it's not going to be as accurate as doing the raw weight. But personally, I am fine with doing the cooked. So I personally do the cooked, weigh it cooked, track it cooked, and I just move on with my day. The big thing is being consistent with whatever method that you use. So if you are eating that food on a regular basis, just make sure you're tracking it the exact same way every time you track it, and then over time, that the details of weighing it raw, weighing it cooked isn't going to matter because you're consistently doing the same way each time, and the coach is adjusting based on how you're progressing. So it's going to make up whatever it needs to make the adjustment, whatever it needs to be to get you progressing at whatever rate that you want. So those little details don't matter if you are consistent with how you're doing it. You bet, Gavin. How does it calculate protein on a reverse diet? It treats reverse diet similarly to how it treats the weight gain. So it will set protein based on your lean body mass, whatever's an optimal amount based on your lean body mass, but it doesn't add like additional protein like on the weight loss setting. So with weight loss, we bump it up just a little bit further to make sure we're covering all our bases, make sure you're safe, because when you're in a deficit, that's when you are at more risk for muscle loss. So we want to just give a little cushion on weight loss and bump the protein up slightly, just so we know we're safe. But when you're in reverse, or when you're at maintenance, or when you're on a gain, you are less risk. You're at less risk for muscle loss. So that's why we don't do the extra bump up there. But it is still based on your lean body mass and how much protein you need to be optimal for that setting. I had stomach surgery I can eat about a cup to a cup and a half. Can carbon help with food intake? So carbon is just going to recommend you macros based on your goals and then adjust those based on how you're checking in with the coach. So it can help give you how much food you need to eat. But if you had surgery and you're struggling to eat, it may be hard to reach what carbon is recommending for you, for example. So, while you're recovering, I would follow your doctor's recommendations for what you should be doing, or if you're speaking with a dietitian to help with your recovery from your stomach surgery, I would consult with them on what specifically you should be doing. But once you're all healed up with that, definitely recommend giving carbon a try to help you work towards your goals. Okay, let's see. Nothing on Facebook or YouTube yet. Anybody there have any questions for me? All right. How to tell when your reverse diet is over? This is a great question. It's a pretty common question we get. Well, first of all, if you're using carbon, you will have a good indication of when your reverse diet is over, because when your reverse diet has taken you to a place where you've reached a good metabolic state. The coach will notify you when your metabolism appears to be in a good spot based on your lean body mass and your starting calories and such. It will tell you when you could be done with your reverse if you wanted to switch goals, but you don't have to stop then. You can keep going if you want to keep improving your metabolism and seeing how far you can push it. But I like to give the rule of thumb of, if you are on a reverse and you have multiple check-ins, I'd say like 3 check-ins in a row where you gain too much weight and the coach holds your calories. That's a good sign that you've kind of reached the limits of where you can push your metabolism currently, given your lifestyle, your training, all that stuff. So 3 to 4 check-ins where the coach holds your calories on a reverse diet. That's a good sign that you've maximized your metabolism right now. And then you can switch your goal to something else. And then in the future, again, when you reverse again, the more times you diet and reverse diet, the more efficient you get with all of it. And you can likely push your maintenance calories higher and higher. You will reach a point of diminishing returns where you're not going to be able to push it higher. But I've noticed after multiple dieting, reverse dieting cycles, that I'm able to get my maintenance calories up pretty high for me. So yeah, go by that rule of thumb, 3 to 4 weeks where you gain too much weight and the coach holds your macros steady. And that's a good rule of thumb. And if you are the person where you took the reverse dieting allowable weight gain all the way down when you set your goal, then you might want to go a little bit further, like to the 4-week mark of no adjustments, just because the threshold for holding your calories is lower. But if you are on the default reverse diet rate, weight gain allowable, then you might want to do like the 2 to 3 weeks or whatever. So yeah, go with that and see how it goes. Let's see. Still nothing on Facebook and YouTube. Would you suggest keeping it on trend weight, or is there not much difference? Thank you again. Yeah, absolutely. I think trend weight, I'm trying to think in my mind, like, is there a scenario where trend weight isn't as good as how the default is currently? And I have a hard time coming up with a way, scenario where I would say don't use trend weight. Unless you have some really weird specific case of things happening that we didn't really consider with the feature. But in that case, I recommend reaching out to our support so we can figure out what we're doing wrong in your scenario. Because in all scenarios, trend weight should be much better than not using trend weight. So yeah, I would definitely recommend using the trend weight feature. Thanks for the question. Will Garmin connectivity be coming soon? We don't have any plans on the current roadmap to do that, but we do integrate with Apple Health, and I believe Garmin integrates with Apple Health. So you can kind of do a roundabout way. I could be mistaken though. I don't use a Garmin, so I'm not 100% sure, but we do integrate with Apple Health. And so you can get the data in there that way. But you know, if we get enough requests of a lot of people liking or needing Garmin connectivity, we'll certainly consider adding that feature. Ooh, this is a good question. And we, so are you considering adding a feature to share food log entries and custom recipes with other Carbon users? That would be great for couples, friends, etc. We have that feature right now. In the latest release, we released a recipe sharing feature, and you can share recipes, you can share custom foods with other people. Check out we have a Help Center article on how to use the feature. But if you go to a recipe in your diary and tap the 3 little dots in the upper right-hand corner, that's where you can enable sharing of the recipe, and then you can either share with them a link or the share code, and then on their end they can pull in that item from you. And yeah, so we do have that feature right now. Give it a try. That should solve that right there. And yeah, like I said, we just released that I think a week or so ago. So it is pretty new. Check it out. Any big feature updates you're planning for the future? Yeah, we're looking to start digging into some of the bigger features that we wanted to do. There's a lot of coaching type stuff that we want to add to the app, because you know our goal with Carbon is for it to be a coach and not just be a tracker, but coach you to reaching your goals each week. And so we're looking to add a lot more features with the coach and really beef that aspect of the app up because that's the most valuable for you guys. Okay, what does being compliant or not truly mean? Compliance is very simple. It is, did you eat the target macros on average for the week? That's it. Did you hit your macro targets on average for the week? That is all compliant means. Compliant doesn't mean that you made the right amount of progress that you were supposed to. No, it only means, did you eat what the macro targets are saying you ate on average, or what your macro targets are on average. So that's all compliance is. Hopefully that clears some of that up a little bit, because I see people say like, I didn't eat my target macros, but I made the right amount of progress. Should I mark compliant or non-compliant? Those two are completely separate. Don't worry about the amount of progress that you make. That's what the coach's job is. Your job is to just make sure that you are following the coach's recommendations. And like I mentioned earlier, if you're struggling to follow those recommendations, you don't have to go at it alone. You can reach out to our support. They can help give you some personalized coaching and personalized advice for how to be compliant and hit your macro targets. Also, our Facebook group, super supportive, amazing resource for you guys. So definitely check those out. All right, looks like we got Facebook here. If someone has a propensity towards prediabetes, is there any reason you can't significantly bump the protein up, keeping total carbs down and fats down? No, there's no reason you can't. That's the amazing thing with Carbon is the diet preference setting and the diet preference feature that we have. It allows you to fine tune your macro targets to your specific preferences and needs. And so if you want to bump the protein up and you want to keep the carbs and the fats a little bit lower, you can certainly do that. Just go into the settings, diet preferences, take protein and just slide it as far up as you want it. And then that by default will take away calories from your carbs and your fats and bring those down. And you can even fine tune the carb and fat ratio that you want as well. So you can do it within the parameters that we have set. And you can also go with the, we have some diet preferences that like set where the sliders are. So you can do low carb, you can do low fat, you can do balance, you can do vegetarian. So that's just a way to set where the defaults are at, but you can certainly fine tune within any of those parameters and get exactly what you would like. So hope that helps. I changed the coach suggested macros on one of my check-ins because I wanted more carbs. How do I let the coach take over again? So if you checked in and then you adjusted the macros on that check-in screen, you didn't screw anything up. The coach will then use whatever ratio that you adjusted it to moving forward and your next check-in. But if you went in and you turned on custom macros in settings, then the coach is thinking you're eating the coach macros when you're eating custom ones. So I would double check to make sure that you didn't turn on custom macros and you just adjusted the diet preference ratios. And when you just check in, that adjust macros option on the check-in, that is just a shortcut to get you to the diet preference sliders. So yeah, just confirm that you didn't turn on custom macros and you just adjusted the diet preference sliders. Thanks for the question, Mario. All right. What happens if I turn on the experimental coach feature? So it's not the experimental coach feature, it's the experimental trend weight feature. And the coach looks at your trend weight instead of your scale weights or average weight. So all it does is really just change what method the coach is using to determine if you're making the right amount of progress for your goal. And like I was mentioning earlier, trend weight is a much more accurate way to do it. So I would recommend giving trend weight a try. Okay, here we go. Why do you tell the app yourself if you are compliant or not? The app has numbers, or can you mark yourself as compliant if you're off? So that's a common question. There's multiple reasons. First of all, we don't want to take what you tracked as this source of truth. We want to confirm with you if that's right, and we do that by asking you if you were compliant. If we just took whatever numbers are in your tracker blindly, things could get really out of whack very quickly, because sometimes I get busy and I forget to track a whole meal, for example, and I eat a lot of the same meals every day. So I would still be on track with what I'm supposed to be doing, but my diary is out of sync with what I'm doing. And then the coach would get all screwed up in that. So that's why we do that ask of, were you compliant or not to your macros? Another reason why is there's a psychological aspect to it of being accountable to what you're doing, saying, yes, I did it, or no, I didn't. Having to give that score yourself brings in the psychological aspect, and makes you more in charge of what you're doing and more cognizant of it, and it can help motivate people as well. So there's a psychological aspect, there's a technical aspect. Now, can we do some other ways of asking it? Potentially. Maybe we don't have to say, were you compliant? Maybe we can show what was consumed in your diary and ask if it's accurate. There's many ways to go about it, but we find that there is still benefit in the psychological aspect of having somebody say, yes, I followed the plan, or no, I didn't follow the plan. Thank you for the question. Okay. Gavin, with all the questions. Appreciate it, Gavin. No worries, man. I weigh at different times in the week due to early morning training before work. Up at 4, train at 5. In the week, then weigh in at 7 to 8 a.m. on rest day. Would that make a massive difference to my weigh-ins, the macros the coach sets me? So, Gavin, if you are consistently doing this schedule week to week, it's not going to make any difference. It's not going to matter. But if you are inconsistent with things and you are checking in on a different day each week, or you're weighing different days, that can throw things off a little bit. But if you are using the trend weight feature, which it sounds like you were, that is going to help alleviate a lot of the potential issues around that. The overall answer is not going to make much of a difference. And even if it does, if you're using trend weight, it's going to make next to no difference at all. Okay. What are the first steps of dealing with a plus or minus 3 week weight loss plateau? So trying to get to the bottom of what is causing the plateau is going to be super important. If you are being compliant with your diet, meaning you're eating what you're supposed to be eating in terms of macros, that isn't a factor then. If you are eating what you're supposed to and you're getting adjustments down and you're still not seeing any progress, you could be at a point where you're just super run down from dieting. Maybe you've been dieting for a while and need to take a step back and maybe reverse diet to help improve your metabolism a little bit and recover a little bit from a long stint of dieting before you try to lose any more weight. There's a lot of potential reasons for weight loss plateaus, but a couple week weight loss plateau can be completely normal, to be honest. Weight loss isn't linear, so there will be some weeks where you don't lose anything, some weeks where you lose a lot. So it's kind of going to be all over the place in terms of what you're losing. But Carbon is trying to keep your average or your progress over a longer period of time within the right parameters. And so you don't have to stress about not losing for a week or two with Carbon, because it will make sure you're losing at the rate that you have set. But you will have to do the work of hitting your macro targets, as well as know when potentially you need to take a step back and reverse diet. The app will recommend a reverse diet, but I tend to find that the point at which it does it is lower than when most people maybe need to start a reverse or start thinking about a reverse. So if you're ever wondering what's going on or what you should do next with Carbon, reach out to our support. Super helpful, can help you work through all those scenarios. But yeah, first steps dealing with a plateau is going through the list of okay, am I hitting my macros? Yes. Am I following the same routine that I've always followed, or are things completely different? Am I traveling? Am I doing this? Do I have regular bowel movements? All these things. Is my fiber consistent? There's so many factors that could potentially cause a weight loss plateau. So just kind of go through the list, and if you need help getting to the bottom of it, like I said, support can be there to help. Cheers, Gavin. Let's see. How does someone become a registered dietitian? That's a good question. You go to school for when I became a registered dietitian, I needed a 4-year degree And then I need a bachelor's in nutrition and dietetics. And then I needed to complete a like an internship or practice experience working in the field. So there was a certain amount of hours. I believe it was 1,600 hours I needed to complete before I could sit for the registered dietitian exam. I did a program where I did my schooling and my internship at the same time. So I was doing internship of like 30 some hours a week along with my full-time coursework. I just wanted to get it all done, at one time, but you can stagger it, do your school, and then after that, do your internship and then do your exam. But those are the steps. You got to get the degree. You have to get the practice experience with a certain amount of hours, and then you have to sit for the exam. I know that they were talking about raising the minimum requirements for being a dietitian to a master's degree, and I think they're going to, but I think it's in a couple years. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure, but you may need to be a master's student or a master's graduate moving forward. But when I completed it, bachelor's, and I believe still now it's still a requirement is bachelor's. All right. Can you explain a reverse diet? Yes. So a reverse diet is controlled, I would say controlled overfeeding with the goal of increasing your metabolism. You will want to do it after a period of being in a deficit, because when you're in a deficit, you are slowing your metabolism. So your metabolism is super adaptive to everything you do. So if you're eating less food than your body requires, your body, in response to that, is going to slow its metabolic rate and conserve energy through many different body processes. It's going to do that to conserve energy. So your maintenance calories are going to go down when you're in a deficit. And that's why a lot of people see plateaus throughout a weight loss diet. That's just changes in their metabolism as they're dieting. And so when you're done with a diet, you don't want to have that suppressed metabolism. You still want to get it back to a pre-diet level, or at least as high as you can get it. And that's really the goal with reverse dieting, is slowly increasing your calories from your current estimated maintenance to bring your metabolic rate up. So it kind of pushes your metabolic rate up and up and up and up as far as it can go. And it does that because of the same way, it's like the opposite of dieting. As you're dieting, your metabolism is slowing down and being more, it's conserving, energy more. But as you eat more food, your body gets more wasteful with the calories and you burn more calories. And so it's the opposite. And you want to push your maintenance calories up as high as you can post diet, just so you are set up for more long-term success. And it's different, like with carbon, we have a reverse diet setting, and we also have like a weight gain setting. They're both putting you in a surplus. Weight gain tends to be more of a surplus. With reverse diet, it's a very slight surplus from your estimated maintenance. And there might be confusion there with some people thinking after a diet, it slowly brings your calories up from deficit to maintenance. But we instantly bring your calories up to estimated maintenance, which by definition will not cause you to gain body fat or anything like that. You might see some water fluctuation, but it'll bring you to your estimated maintenance, which is lower than your pre-diet maintenance. And at that point, then it's going to slowly try to push your metabolic rate up and up by giving you small calorie increases each week, as long as you aren't gaining too much weight. So it's slightly different than the weight gain in that it's going to increase your calories as long as you aren't gaining too much weight. Whereas with weight gain, it's going to make sure, it's going to force your body to gain a certain amount of weight each week. So hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if you have any follow-up questions to that. Is the app planning on adding recipe section for easy macronutrient friendly dishes? Maybe in the future, but a good place right now is our Instagram. We have a ton of macro-friendly recipes there. And now with the recipe sharing feature, we hope that people share macro-friendly recipes in the Facebook group or on their social media, so others can use those macro-friendly recipes as well. So potentially in the future, there may be a section in the app for it, but right now, our Instagram and do check out the recipe sharing feature and try to find other people's recipes you can share from. Is it okay to do 1 week of calorie cut a month during a reverse diet? If so, what is the right way to check into the app? It's not like you can't do it, but it's kind of a lot of times when people want to do that, they're definitely afraid of any weight gain. And so if that's the scenario you're trying to avoid by doing that strategy, I don't think it's a good approach, because the longer you're in a surplus, the faster you're going to be able to improve your metabolism. If you're constantly each month dipping back into a deficit, you're just delaying the metabolic improvements that you need to make to get to where you need to go. And so a lot of times I recommend just putting your head down, reverse dieting for a set amount of time, and then switching your goal. But if you really feel like you need to do a cut for a week or so while doing a reverse, it's not the end of the world. And you can just change your goal in carbon to weight loss and then change it back to reverse diet, and things should work out fine. But overall, I wouldn't recommend the approach. I'd say just get in a reverse diet, stay in it for a certain amount of time, and then change your goal. Okay, my sister and I meal prep together. Is there a way to share our meals for the day since we both eat the same meals? So yes, you can share with the recipe sharing feature. You can also share custom meals, so meals and recipes in Carbon, or custom foods. So there's many ways you could go about doing it. Like if you eat the same meals every day, you can make a single master meal of that meal plan and then make it a shared item or a shared recipe, and then the other person just add that share code, and then you can both track it easily. So there's definitely a way. If you don't know how to use the recipe sharing feature or the custom food sharing feature, go to the help center, joincarbon.com/help, and search for it there. And there's a video and an article on how to use that feature, and you can figure out how to make it fit your needs. Can you explain the weight trend feature? Yeah, I explained it a little earlier. Basically, it's just a more accurate representation of your true weight at any given point in time. So throw out all the weird fluctuations that might be happening. It's going to predict what is your actual weight today on any given day. And it's very dynamic in that what your weight was on, a few days ago, your trend weight a few days ago, if you go back and look at it now, it could be different because there's more data now to understand, hey, that's what your actual weight was, your true weight was that day. So as the app gets more data and more data, it gets more accurate on what your weight is. So it's dynamic, even in like changing past values as well. So if you ever want to know what was your true weight on any given day, use the trend weight feature. And the coach also uses the trend weight feature when you have it enabled, so it's able to more accurately understand what's happening with your body and make the right adjustments for what you need. Thanks for the question. What's the best way to start out? I'm intimidated. I've been in the gym, but I feel I could improve dramatically with macro and food management. If overwhelmed, is there a good support via app? So the best way to start out is to just get started. Do as little as you can. Like, just do one thing. Don't look at the mountain of things that you think you can improve on. Just try to focus on one thing. And for you, it sounds like just start tracking your diet. Don't even necessarily try to hit certain macro targets yet. Just get comfortable tracking and understanding macros and understanding the foods that you're eating without any requirement to lose weight or to do certain things. Just get comfortable with it and then move on to the next thing. Just keep chipping away at these smaller tasks instead of looking at the big hill that you think you have to go up. It's important to break things down into smaller, more manageable goals and achieving those. And does Carbon help with support via the app? Carbon is an algorithm that is a coaching algorithm that does the adjustments and gives you recommendations on what macros you should be eating based on how your body's changing. And there isn't specific like a person behind that giving you those recommendations. But we do have an amazing support staff that is available for answering any questions you have about the app, guiding you, giving you recommendations. So you have Carbon as your tool, and you do have great support via our support team. And also the community, super supportful. If you're in the Facebook group, there's a lot of support there, helping other members reaching their goals. So my recommendation, just get started, one foot in front of the other. Just get going and build that confidence over time. And when you take a step back, in a year from now or 2 years from now, you're going to be like, wow, I've gone very far. As long as you don't give up, if you try to take on too much and then you give up, you're going to just be spinning your wheels. You want to do manageable stuff and slowly chip away at it and be consistent, because the longer you can be consistent to it, the more progress you're going to see and the more it's going to stick around. So it's a lifestyle change. See it as that, and just work through the process. All right. Oh, sorry. That was that one there. Okay. All right. Looks like we got another Facebook one. And we do have a few minutes left, and then I'm going to hop off here. But I appreciate everybody tuning in, all the questions you guys have been asking. Let's see. So Mario is asking, what is your recommendation on time frame for cutting versus reverse versus gaining? In other words, how long from being in a cut would you recommend doing a diet break and being maintenance or reverse? So the length of any amount that you stay on a goal is completely specific to what your goal is. If you have a certain weight you want to hit, that's going to dictate how long you need to be on a certain goal. And you can kind of extrapolate out, okay, how many weeks do I need to take to get there based on the rate of progress that I set with Carbon, and then maybe give yourself just a slight cushion there. Then you can kind of estimate, okay, it's going to be about this many weeks before I reach that goal. It's going to be specific, like I said, to your goal. With regards to cutting versus reverse dieting, so like deficit to surplus timeframes, typically the amount of time you spent in a deficit, typically you want to spend a proportional amount of time in the opposite way in a surplus. So if you dieted for 12 weeks, maybe you want to reverse diet for 12 weeks. That can be just a rule of thumb. Just spend equal amount of time, just so you're not skewed one way or the other. Your body's not more in a deficit during the year than it is in a surplus. That'll help keep your metabolism in a more healthy spot long term. It's when you start getting skewed of like, I'm dieting for, half of the year or more, and then I only spend a few weeks in in a surplus and then I'm trying to go back to a deficit again, that's where you're going to start having more negative effects on your metabolism. And so, yeah, just try to balance it out, I would say, with being in a deficit and being in a surplus. And it's also fine to just spend a long time sitting at maintenance as well. Like sometimes things come up in your life and you don't necessarily want to gain weight or lose weight or focus on any specific goal. You just want to maintain and get through a certain season of life, and that's completely fine as well. So hopefully that helps. And let's see. So that's going to do it for this live stream. I appreciate everybody tuning in. If you haven't given Carbon a try, I recommend giving Carbon a try. We're available on iOS and Android stores. It's only $9.99 a month. You can get a discount if you pay for more than 1 month. If you can commit to 6 months or a year, we're going to give you a nice discount on the price. Super helpful for people. Carbon has changed a lot of people's lives, helped them reach their goals that they never thought they could with the help of Carbon. So do check out our reviews, check out our Facebook group, super helpful. If you're a Carbon user, take advantage of our support team. They're super helpful as well to help you on your journey. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Like I said, hope everybody has a great rest of their week and weekend ahead, and we'll catch you guys on the next live stream. Thanks.